Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, in less than 24 hours, Democrats will put the work of you, the American people, on hold in order to carry out one last pointless smear of former President Donald Trump, or as Jim Acosta affectionately says, President Trump in exile. Now, instead of working on COVID relief, instead of creating jobs, instead of getting aid to frontline workers, or creating a plan to save so many small businesses in trouble, well, congressional Democrats, they will be busy now for the foreseeable future conducting what so many agree is an unconstitutional impeachment charade show where the verdict we all know is predetermined. Former President Trump will be acquitted. We know that. 45 senators have already voted to end the impeachment trial because it's not constitutional. And by the way, the Senate has no jurisdiction over a private citizen. That would be Donald Trump. Nor can you actually remove a person from office that he no longer holds. But it doesn't matter to the Democrats, the media mob. They are living in their rage-filled fantasy land. It's like a drug. They can't give up their drug addiction. They claim that Donald Trump incited this insurrection on January 6th when he said things like, oh, fight like hell. Pretty much like every Democrat, like we've been showing you for weeks. Now, apparently, the mere use of hyperbole that the Democrats even use themselves is grounds for impeachment. But if that new standard, if that's it for everybody, well, then what are we going to do about Maxine Waters? She's going to have to be impeached. You decide.
You see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you. The lying president said that I had threatened all of his constituents. I did not threaten his constituents, his supporters. I do that all the time, but I didn't do it that time. And with this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Going to take Trump out tonight, as you can see. For years, Maxine Waters frequently calling for harassment, for violence against the president of the United States, his staffers, and even his supporters. She even talked about taking him out and using the Democratic Party's own logic and standards. Her insurrectionist incitement warrants, well, that would warrant impeachment, right? Until now, Waters, she's never faced impeachment or punitive measures of any kind. In fact, Democrats, they even promoted her to be the chairwoman of the powerful Financial Services Committee. And that's because, according to her, Waters herself, she has done and said absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever. Trump insurrectionist, hers is peace, love, and kindness, the type you'd hear on a Sunday morning in church. Take a look.
And they're going to try and say that we have done rallies and we've said things that have incited others.
Can you say that you have not glorified or encouraged violence against Republicans?
Absolutely, I can say it. As a matter of fact, if you look at the words that I used, the strongest thing I said was tell them they're not welcome. Talk to them. Tell them they're not welcome. I didn't say go and fight. I didn't say anybody was going to have any violence, and so they can't make that stick.
Create a crowd, take Trump out tonight, get in their faces, follow them into the grocery store. They're not wanted anywhere anymore. Well, we all heard the violent rhetoric, which, according to the Democrats' own standards, that is incitement towards insurrection. We have tape of Chucky Schumer physically threatening two U.S. Supreme Court justices right there on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court building, saying they won't know what hit them and they will pay the price. When does his impeachment trial start? Now, we heard New Jersey Senator Cory Booker scream, go to the Hill, get up, and please get up in the face of these Congress people. Oh, he's inciting insurrection. We heard Joe Biden twice talk about, taking Trump behind a gym and beating the hell out of him. Wonder if a conservative said that about him, what the reaction would be. Over the summer, just days after a Minneapolis precinct burned to the ground, violent riots wreaking havoc, multiple cities. What did Kamala Harris say? She was encouraging more of it, telling Stephen Colbert, they're not going to stop. And everyone, beware, because they're not going to stop. Oh, what, burning down police precincts? They're not going to stop before the election day in November. They're not going to stop after Election Day. Everyone, you take note of that on both levels. They're not going to let up. They should not, and we should not. Sounds like insurrectionism. Anyway, applying that Democratic standard to Waters and Schumer and Joe and Kamala Harris and Pelosi and others, also promoting, by the way, in Harris's case, promoting a bail fund to get violent rioters arrested out of jail. Okay, I guess their impeachment trials will follow. Keep in mind, according to nearly every media mob outlet, now according to the FBI and investigators, now according to documents that have been relayed to the court documents, and even according to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the breach at the Capitol, it was pre-planned. It wasn't some out-of-control, spontaneous incitement to riot because of Donald Trump's remarks. In fact, we're now learning that the 2 pipe bombs that we have on video that were planted the night before may have been part of a pre-organized attack. So, make no mistakes, authorities were warned about an impending war at the Capitol. That was being planned, perhaps weeks in advance. This is why you don't have snap impeachments before you have any facts, any investigation, any conclusion. Never mind the idea that you might want to allow the other side to, well, at least make their case. Take a look.
The investigation into the deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol a week ago, new evidence that it was planned.
Also shocking, new reporting that the FBI received a very specific warning before the riot.
That FBI notice warned of war at the Capitol, but for some reason, security wasn't stepped up there to meet the challenge that attack would pose.
That there was an FBI internal report the day before the siege warning of a violent war at the Capitol.
The FBI admitting that it had intelligence before the insurrection that people were planning to travel to D.C. with the intent to cause violence.
Now, just how did President Trump's January 6 remarks incite an attack that has now been in the works for weeks? Now, tonight we need to get to the bottom of what went wrong at the Capitol. This can't happen in our country. And by the way, those that travel to Washington, D.C., those involved in the plotting and the planning and the scheming with violent intentions, why didn't we know about it? Why weren't they prepared? And sadly, Democrats now are more interested in just waging yet another pointless smear of former president in exile, Donald Trump. And let's hope the trial goes on and on for weeks and months. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend it, Chuck. Just extend it out day after day, week after week, month after month. Let America fully absorb how shallow you and your party are. And let's all learn about the glaring double standard and the rank hypocrisy that is all of Washington in all of its swamp ugliness. This is not, never has been, a serious proceeding. It's a phony political show trial. There is no judge. Chief Justice Roberts refused to preside over the case. Now you got that guy on the left side of your screen, or right, depending, I guess the right side of your screen, on the left, facing this way. Democrat Patrick Leahy, he's going to preside. Yep, the same senator who's already stated Trump should be convicted. Oh, there's a fair and impartial jurist, right? Now, are we the only ones that see what a complete farce, what a travesty of justice this is? What a total colossal waste of taxpayer money and time. We also know where the so-called jury stands, because nearly every senator has gone on record with what their beliefs are. This is nothing more than political theater. The lines will be scripted. They will be delivered with great passion. It'll be like a Broadway play that you don't have to pay for, nor do you have to watch. And we already know how it ends. Zero suspense. What good is that? So in the coming days, you can expect a lot of manufactured, loud, feigned, phony outrage from Democrats and the media. How did this happen? While ignoring everything that the Democrats have said and done over, well, even the last 4 years, none of it will mean a thing. It's all an act from a bunch of swamp and sewer rat politicians who will never hold themselves accountable to the very standards they sanctimoniously set up for Donald Trump and others. And, of course, if Mr. Unity, Joe Biden, actually wanted to bring this country together, as he says he does, and actually ease tensions, he could put a stop to this right now. There is an upside. The more they focus on hating President Trump, well, frankly, hold on to your wallets. That means less damage they're doing to the country by imposing their insane Green New Deal socialist agenda and raising your taxes and firing guys that work on the Keystone XL pipeline and other pipelines and other oil and energy exploration and building the wall, those guys that got fired. Keep going, Democrats. You're doing a great job helping Americans. And while we're at it, I have a long list of witnesses, frankly, I would like to see called. And maybe they should impeach him a few more times. Let's maybe go for an even dozen Trump impeachments. Joe's never going to stand up to the radicals that control him. He'll never ask for the unity he says he wants because he's incapable of standing up to his own party and the media mob that control him. So buckle up, because this country is about to be put through hell over and over again. And guess what? The Democrats will scream, they will yell, they will rant, they will rave, they will use their prepared scripts and throw one last Donald Trump temper tantrum, all with the love of the media mob and big tech. As my friend and colleague Mark Simone, radio host, put it, tomorrow's impeachment day. The Democrats impeach Trump every February. It's now become an annual event, kind of like the Golden Globes. Remember last February when they missed the pandemic started because they were focused on impeachment? Too bad there's not a lot of let's work for the American people day.